When the darkness closes in. The crystalline walls of Research Station Harmony hummed with gentle energy as Dr. Zara Nixhol made her final rounds through the observation deck. The Etherian scientist paused at the massive viewing port, her translucent, blue skin shimmering softly in the starlight. Beyond the reinforced glass, the Andromeda Nebula painted space in brilliant purples and golds. For 3 years, she had called this place home, leading a team of researchers studying quantum energy, patterns that could revolutionize faster than light travel. Station Harmony represented everything the Etherian people stood for: peace, knowledge, cooperation. Built in neutral space, it welcomed scientists from 12 different species. The Etherians had funded the project entirely from their own resources, asking nothing in return except the advancement of galactic science. Zara felt proud knowing that discoveries made here would benefit every civilization in known space. Her peaceful thoughts shattered when the station's alert system began wailing. Red lights flashed across every surface as Vex, her young communications officer, burst onto the observation deck. The younger Etherian's normally calm demeanor had cracked completely. "Dr. Nixhol, we have multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace," Vex reported, his voice trembling. 27 ships, all showing Saurian Empire signatures. They're moving directly toward us. Zara's heart sank. The Saurian Empire had a reputation throughout the galaxy as ruthless conquerors. Their reptilian warriors showed no mercy to those they considered weak. Worse, intelligence reports suggested they had been raiding research facilities, stealing technology to fuel their military expansion. "Activate our diplomatic beacon," Zara ordered, though she already knew it would be useless. "Broadcast our neutral status and scientific mission. Maybe they'll honor galactic law." Vex shook his head grimly. "I already tried, Doctor. They're jamming all our communications. The only response we received was a demand for immediate surrender." The station shuddered as scanning beams swept across their hull. Zara could imagine Saurian technicians analyzing their defenses, cataloging their research equipment, calculating the value of everything they could steal. The Etherians had never built Harmony for war. Their energy shields could protect against cosmic radiation and small debris, but not military-grade weapons. "How long until they reach us?" Zara asked. 18 minutes at their current speed," Vex replied, checking his instruments. "Dr. Nixhol, what are we going to do? We have 43 researchers on board, and most of them have never seen combat." Zara closed her eyes, thinking rapidly. The nearest Etherian fleet was 6 days away, far too distant to help. The Galactic Federation maintained a small patrol force in this sector, but their ships were light scouts, not warships capable of fighting an entire Saurian battle group. For all practical purposes, Station Harmony was completely alone. "Begin emergency protocols," she decided. "All non-essential personnel to the evacuation pods. Destroy our most sensitive research data. We can't let the Saurians get their claws on quantum drive technology." As Vex rushed to carry out her orders, Zara remained at the viewing port, watching the enemy fleet grow larger, 27 ships, each one bristling with weapons. The Saurians had sent enough firepower to destroy a small planet, all to capture one peaceful research station. It spoke to how desperate they were for advanced technology. The next few minutes passed in a blur of activity. Station personnel ran through corridors carrying emergency supplies and precious research samples. Some of the alien scientists wept openly, knowing they might never see their homeworlds again. Others worked frantically to transmit their findings to colleagues across the galaxy, hoping some of their work would survive even if they did not. Dr. Nixhol moved through the station, offering comfort where she could. She found Professor Kelwart, an elderly Bendari physicist struggling to pack decades of research notes. His forearms moved in frantic patterns as he tried to decide what to save. "Leave the papers, Professor," Zara said gently. "Take only what you need to survive." "But my work on subspace harmonics," Kelwart protested. 40 years of research, gone. "Knowledge lives in minds, not in files," Zara reminded him. "As long as you survive, your work survives too." The Saurian fleet came to a stop just outside optimal weapons range. Their ships formed a perfect attack formation, with heavy battle cruisers flanked by faster destroyers. Zara recognized the tactics from military histories she had studied. They were positioning themselves to prevent any possible escape while maximizing their firepower advantage. A communication signal forced its way through their jamming systems. The main screen in the command center flickered to life, revealing Admiral Krog of the Saurian Empire. The reptilian commander stood 3 meters tall, his scales dark green with bronze highlights marking his military rank. His eyes were cold, yellow slits that seemed to look right through the camera. "Etherian scientists," Admiral Krog began, his voice a deep rumble that made the speakers vibrate. "I am Admiral Krog of the Saurian 15th Battle Fleet. Your station contains technology that belongs in stronger hands. Surrender immediately, and I will allow half of your personnel to live as research slaves. Continue to resist, and I will blast your station to atoms." Zara stepped forward, activating her own transmission pickup. "Admiral Krog, this is Dr. Zara Nixhol, Commanding Officer of Research Station Harmony. We are a neutral scientific facility operating under galactic law. Our research benefits all species. I ask you to respect our neutrality and withdraw your forces." Krog's laughter was like grinding stone. "Neutrality is a luxury for the strong little scientist. You Etherians hide behind your peaceful words while others fight and die. Today you learn that in this galaxy, the weak serve the strong. You have 1 hour to open your docking bays and surrender your research. After that, we begin shooting." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in heavy silence. Zara looked around at her remaining staff. Most of the civilian researchers had already evacuated, but 20 essential personnel remained to keep the station running. They all looked to her for guidance, though she had no idea what to tell them. "Doctor," Vex said quietly, "I've been monitoring long-range communications. There are no Federation patrols within 3 days of our position. No one else knows we're under attack." Zara nodded, having expected as much. The Saurians had chosen their timing perfectly, striking when the station was most isolated. She walked to the sensor station and studied the enemy fleet disposition. Each ship mounted enough firepower to reduce the station to scrap metal. Against such overwhelming force, resistance seemed pointless. But surrender meant slavery for her, people, and the loss of research that could benefit billions of lives across the galaxy. The quantum drive technology they had been developing could cut interstellar travel times by 90%. In the wrong hands, it could give the Saurian Empire the ability to strike anywhere in known space without warning. "Open a channel to all remaining personnel," Zara ordered. When the system confirmed the connection, she took a deep breath. "Friends and colleagues, we face an impossible choice. The Saurian Empire demands our surrender and our research. If we comply, some of us may live as slaves while our work is used to conquer peaceful worlds. If we resist, we will likely die, but our knowledge will die with us." She paused, looking at each face on the screen. These were good people, scientists and engineers who had dedicated their lives to expanding the boundaries of knowledge. They deserved better than this. "I won't order anyone to stay and fight," she continued. "The evacuation pods are still functional. Anyone who wants to leave has my blessing and my thanks for everything you've contributed to this project." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Chief Engineer Morth, a massive Hergan whose people were known for their strength, stepped forward. "Doctor, I've spent 2 years building this station's systems. I know every circuit, every power coupling. If we're going to make them pay for what they're taking, I can make sure our reactors give them a surprise they won't forget." Other voices joined in. Vex declared he would stay to maintain communications. Dr. Talani, the Quillian medical officer, said someone needed to tend the wounded. One by one, every remaining person volunteered to stay and fight. Zara felt tears forming in her large, dark eyes. These people, from a dozen different worlds and species, had chosen to stand together in the face of certain death. It was everything the Etherian philosophy taught about the bonds that could unite all thinking beings. "Then we make our stand," she said simply. The next 40 minutes passed in desperate preparation. They rerouted power from life support to strengthen their shields. They armed the few mining lasers they had for asteroid clearing. Most importantly, they began transmitting their research data in all directions, hoping someone, somewhere, would receive their life's work. Vex worked frantically at his station, sending out distress signals on every frequency he could access. The Saurian jamming was powerful, but he managed to punch through occasionally with burst transmissions. Each message was the same. Research Station Harmony under attack by Saurian Empire. 43 souls aboard. Send help. He knew no one would receive the messages in time. The nearest help was days away and they had minutes left. But he kept transmitting anyway, because giving up was not in his nature. Admiral Krog's ultimatum expired exactly on schedule. The Saurian fleet opened fire simultaneously, their energy beams lancing through space like spears of light. Station Harmony's shields flared brilliant white as they absorbed the initial barrage, but the protective barrier began to weaken immediately. Shields at 60%, Chief Engineer Morth reported grimly. They're targeting our reactor cores. Looks like they want to disable us, not destroy us completely. That made sense, Zara realized. Dead scientists couldn't work as slaves, and destroyed equipment couldn't be studied. The Saurians intended to capture the station with minimal damage to its contents. The second wave of fire struck even harder. This time the shields failed completely and enemy beams began carving into the station's hull. Atmosphere rushed out through breached sections, forcing emergency bulkheads to seal. They were losing structural integrity fast. Return fire, Zara ordered, though she knew it was futile. Their mining lasers struck the nearest Saurian destroyer, leaving bright scorch marks on its armored hull. The enemy ship didn't even slow down. It was like throwing pebbles at a mountain. Doctor, Vex called out urgently. I'm picking up something strange on long-range sensors. There's a massive energy signature approaching from the outer system, moving faster than anything I've ever seen. Zara looked at the sensor display, but the readings made no sense. Whatever was coming toward them was moving at nearly light speed, far faster than any known ship could travel in normal space. The energy output was enormous, larger than some stars. Could it be another Saurian fleet, she asked. No, the signature is completely different. And Doctor, it's heading straight for us. Admiral Krog apparently detected the approaching contact as well. The Saurian barrage stopped abruptly as their ships turned to face this new threat. Zara could imagine the confusion on their bridge. What could move so fast and generate so much energy? On the main screen, space itself seemed to tear open as something emerged from hyperspace. But this wasn't the gentle transition most ships made when dropping to sublight speeds. This was violent, explosive, like a thunder crack that split reality itself. A single ship materialized from the impossible light, and Zara gasped at the sight of it. The vessel was massive, easily 3 times the size of the largest Saurian battlecruiser. Its hull was matte black, covered in angular plates that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Weapon ports lined its sides in perfect rows, and strange energy patterns flickered across its surface. But most shocking of all was the ship's configuration. Zara had studied enough galactic military history to recognize the design philosophy. This was a human warship. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago, and they remained something of a mystery to most species. Their planet was in a distant spiral arm, far from the major trade routes. Most aliens considered humans to be a minor species, too young and too few to matter in galactic affairs. But their military reputation was something else entirely. Human ships had appeared in several recent conflicts, always on the side of the underdog. They fought, with a ferocity and tactical brilliance that amazed military analysts across known space. Some called them the impossible species, because they seemed to specialize in achieving victories that should have been mathematically impossible. The human ship hung motionless in space for several seconds, as if studying the situation. Then, its communication array activated, broadcasting on all frequencies with power that cut right through the Saurian jamming. This is Captain Marcus Chen of the United Earth ship Thunderhawk. Saurian vessels, you are attacking a neutral research facility in violation of galactic law. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Admiral Krog's response came quickly. Human ship, this does not concern your species. Withdraw or be destroyed with the others. I'm afraid that's not how we do things, Captain Chen replied, and Zara could hear something dangerous in his voice. We received a distress call from Station Harmony. Earth doesn't abandon people who ask for our help. 1 ship against 27, Krog snarled. Even humans are not that foolish. Captain Chen's laughter carried clearly across the communication channel. Admiral, you obviously don't know much about humans. We specialize in bad odds. What happened next would be remembered throughout the galaxy for generations to come. Thunder in the void, Captain. Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderhawk, studying the tactical display with the calm focus that had made him legendary among his crew. 27 Saurian warships against 1 human vessel. By any reasonable calculation, the odds were impossible, but Marcus had built his entire career on proving that humans didn't believe in impossible. Tactical assessment, Commander Rodriguez, he ordered. Commander Sarah Rodriguez, his tactical officer, worked rapidly at her station. The small, dark-haired woman had served with Marcus for 8 years, through battles that had become the stuff of military legend. She knew how to read a battlefield better than anyone in the fleet. 7 heavy battlecruisers, 12 destroyers, 8 light cruisers, she reported. Total firepower advantage approximately 15-1. Their formation suggests they're planning to surround us and concentrate fire. Weak points? Their commander is overconfident. The formation is textbook Saurian doctrine, designed to maximize firepower against a static target. They're not accounting for our mobility advantage. Marcus nodded. Humans had learned early in their spacefaring history that mobility trumped heavy armor every time. The Thunderhawk could accelerate faster and turn more quickly than any ship its size had a right to. Combined with human tactical innovations, that edge had won battles against much larger forces. Chief Okonkwo, how are our engines? Chief Engineer. Kai Okonkwo looked up from his engineering console. The tall, broad-shouldered man grinned with confidence that radiated throughout the bridge. Captain, I've got the fusion reactors running at 115%. We've got power to spare and speed to burn. Weapons status: all particle beam arrays charged and ready. Missile tubes loaded with full spreads. The new quantum torpedoes are armed and targeted. Marcus walked to the main view screen, looking out at the Saurian fleet. Each enemy ship bristled with weapons, their hulls scarred from countless battles. They had the look of predators who had never encountered serious resistance. Behind him, the bridge crew worked with the efficient precision that came from years of training and combat experience. These were some of Earth's finest, volunteers who had requested assignment to the most dangerous missions the fleet could offer. They trusted their captain completely, just as he trusted them. Sir, Communications Officer Lieutenant Park reported, I'm receiving detailed scans of the research station. 43 souls on board, mostly scientists. The station's shields have failed and they're taking heavy damage. Marcus felt the familiar cold anger that always came when he saw bullies picking on the defenseless. Humans had a particular hatred for species that preyed on peaceful civilians. It went against everything their culture valued. Time to weapons range? He asked. 3 minutes at current speed, Rodriguez replied. Too long. Those people don't have 3 minutes. Marcus turned to his helmsman. Lieutenant Torres, give me everything the engines have. I want to be in combat range in 90 seconds. Aye, sir. All stop to full combat speed in 90 seconds. The Thunderhawk surged forward like a hunting cat, its engines glowing white-hot as they pushed beyond their design limits. The ship's artificial gravity systems compensated for the massive acceleration, but everyone on board could feel the power thrumming through the deck plates. Admiral Krog apparently noticed their approach. The Saurian fleet began to turn, bringing their weapons to bear on the human ship. Marcus could imagine the confusion on their bridges. Most species would approach cautiously, trying to negotiate or find some advantage before committing to battle. Humans just charged straight in. Incoming transmission from the enemy flagship, Lieutenant Park announced. On screen, Admiral Krog appeared on the main display, his reptilian features twisted with contempt. Human captain, I offer you one final chance. Withdraw now and I will allow you to live. Continue this foolish attack and I will add your ship to my trophy collection." Marcus smiled pleasantly. "Admiral, I appreciate the offer, but we have a policy about abandoning people in distress. Besides, I'm curious to see how your trophy collection handles human engineering. You are one ship." "Yes, but we're a very good ship." The transmission ended as the Thunderhawk reached weapons range. The Saurian fleet opened fire immediately, dozens of energy beams converging on the human vessel. But Marcus had anticipated this. The ship rolled and twisted through space in a complex evasive pattern that seemed to defy physics. "Return fire all weapons," Marcus ordered calmly. The Thunderhawk's particle beam arrays fired in perfect sequence, each shot precisely targeted at critical systems on the enemy ships. Human weapons technology focused on accuracy and efficiency, rather than raw power. While Saurian beams might miss a fast-moving target, human fire found its mark with mathematical precision. The first salvo struck 3 Saurian destroyers simultaneously. One lost its main engine and began spinning out of control. Another's weapon systems exploded in brilliant flashes. The third simply vanished in a ball of superheated gas as its reactor containment failed. 3 targets eliminated, Rodriguez reported with satisfaction. Enemy formation beginning to break up. The Saurian response was predictable but ineffective. They tried to surround the human ship, bringing their superior numbers to bear. But the Thunderhawk moved like a dancer through their formations, never staying in one place long enough for concentrated fire to find it. Marcus had studied human military history extensively, particularly the aerial combat tactics developed in Earth's ancient wars. Space combat followed similar principles. Speed, surprise, and superior positioning could overcome raw firepower. The key was never to fight the enemy's battle, but to force them to fight yours. "Launch quantum torpedoes, spread pattern alpha," he ordered. 6 torpedoes streaked away from the Thunderhawk, their exotic warheads designed to disrupt the quantum structure of matter itself. They were humanity's latest weapon technology, so new that most species had never encountered them. The torpedoes struck 2 Saurian battlecruisers, and the results were spectacular. Instead of simple explosions, the warheads created expanding spheres of quantum disruption that unraveled the molecular bonds holding the enemy ships together. The massive vessels simply came apart, their hulls dissolving into component atoms. "My God," Rodriguez whispered. "The new torpedoes are even more effective than the simulations predicted." But the battle was far from over. The remaining Saurian ships had recovered from their initial surprise and were adapting their tactics. They spread out into a wider formation, making it harder for the human ship to engage multiple targets simultaneously. Admiral Krog's flagship, a massive dreadnought-class vessel, moved to the center of the formation and began coordinating the attack. Marcus could see the tactical logic. The Saurians were using their numbers to create overlapping fields of fire that would eventually trap the Thunderhawk. "Chief, I need more speed," Marcus called to his engineer. "I'm already pushing the reactors past the safety limits," Okonkwo replied. "Any more, and we risk containment failure." "Risk it." The ship's acceleration increased again, the engines glowing, so brightly they looked like miniature stars. The Thunderhawk danced through the enemy formation, its weapons picking off targets with surgical precision. But Marcus could see they were taking damage. Enemy fire had penetrated their shields in several places, and repair teams were working frantically to seal hull breaches. On the research station, Dr. Zara Nixhall watched the battle in amazement. The human ship moved like nothing she had ever seen, its impossible maneuvers defying every principle of space combat she understood. More importantly, it was winning. "Vex, are you recording this?" she asked her communications officer. "Every second, Doctor. The tactical analysis alone will revolutionize military science." As they watched, the human ship executed a maneuver that should have been physically impossible. It spun end over end while maintaining its forward velocity, bringing all weapons to bear on a cluster of enemy ships while simultaneously avoiding their return fire. 3 more Saurian vessels died in the space of 10 seconds, but the most impressive part wasn't the technology or the tactics. It was the sheer audacity of it all. One ship against an entire fleet, and the human captain acted as if the odds were perfectly reasonable. Back on the Thunderhawk, Marcus was pushing his ship and crew to their absolute limits. They had destroyed half the Saurian fleet, but the remaining ships were closing in. His shields were failing, his engines were overheating, and several weapon systems had been knocked offline. "Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command," Lieutenant Park reported. "Not now, Lieutenant." "Sir, it's Admiral Harrison. She says reinforcements are 6 hours out." Marcus almost laughed. 6 hours might as well be 6 years. This battle would be decided in the next 6 minutes. "Tell the Admiral we appreciate the thought, but we'll handle this ourselves." That was when Chief Okonkwo's voice crackled over the intercom with excitement. "Captain, I've got an idea. It's crazy, dangerous, and probably suicidal, but it might just work." "I'm listening, Chief." "We overload the main reactor and vent it directly through the engine exhaust. It'll create a plasma discharge that should take out everything within 50,000 kilometers, including us." "Well, yes, probably, unless we can get clear in time." Marcus considered the option for exactly 3 seconds. It was insane, reckless, and completely against regulations. In other words, it was perfectly human. Do it. The next few minutes tested every system on the ship. Okonkwo began overloading the reactor while the helmsman positioned them in the center of the remaining Saurian formation. Rodriguez targeted their last quantum torpedoes at Admiral Krog's flagship. Everyone else held on and prayed. "Reactor overload in 30 seconds, Okonkwo announced. 20 seconds, 15, 10, 5. All ahead. Emergency," Marcus shouted. The Thunderhawk shot forward just as its reactor vented directly into space. The plasma discharge expanded in all directions like a miniature sun, consuming everything in its path. The remaining Saurian ships simply vanished, vaporized by temperatures that rivaled stellar cores. The human ship barely escaped the edge of the blast, its hull glowing red-hot from residual radiation. Emergency systems activated throughout the air. Vessel as damage control teams worked to keep critical systems online. "Status report," Marcus called out as the bridge lights flickered back to stability. "All enemy vessels destroyed," Rodriguez reported with amazement in her voice. "We did it, Captain. We actually did it." Marcus slumped in his command chair, suddenly feeling the exhaustion that came after every impossible victory. Around him, his crew began the process of damage assessment and emergency repairs. They had won, but it had been close. Closer than he liked to admit. "Communications, hail the research station," he ordered. Dr. Nixhol's face appeared on the main screen. Her large eyes bright with unshed tears. "Captain Chen, we don't know how to thank you. You saved our lives, our work, everything we hold dear." "That's what we do, Doctor," Marcus replied simply. "Earth doesn't abandon people who need help." But the odds were impossible. 27. Ships against 1. "How did you know you could win?" Marcus smiled, and for a moment he looked very young despite his graying hair. "Doctor, humans have a saying. We don't know the meaning of impossible. We just know it means we have to try harder." Over the next several hours, the Thunderhawk's crew worked alongside the station personnel to repair damage and restore full operations. Chief Okonkwo found himself fascinated by the Etherian quantum research, while Dr. Nixhol was amazed by human engineering techniques. "Your ship should not be able to do what it does," she told Captain Chen as they toured the station together. "The acceleration curves alone should have liquefied your crew. Human engineering focuses on practical solutions, rather than theoretical limits," Marcus explained. "If something needs to work, we make it work. And if the physics say it's impossible, then we change the physics." As word of the battle spread throughout the galaxy, it would become another chapter in the growing legend of human military prowess. But for the people of Research Station Harmony, it was something simpler and more profound. It was proof that, in a dark and dangerous galaxy, some species still believed in protecting the innocent. Dr. Nixhol stood in her observation deck once again, looking out at the stars. But now she wasn't alone. Captain Chen stood beside her, and beyond the viewing port the lights of the Thunderhawk gleamed against the cosmic darkness. "Captain," she said quietly, our research into quantum drive technology. We would be honored to share it with Earth. That's generous, Doctor, but we can't accept payment for doing what's right. Not payment. Partnership. Your people saved our lives and our work. The least we can do is ensure that knowledge serves the cause of peace. Marcus considered this. An alliance between human determination and Etherian science could benefit both species immensely. I think that could be the beginning of something remarkable, he agreed. In the depths of space, the seeds of a new alliance were planted. Humanity had once again proven that they would stand against impossible odds to protect the innocent. And in doing so, they had gained friends who would help them reach for the stars themselves. The galaxy would never be quite the same.